welcome to the Hall of Fame College Football live stream. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, back with the frenemy, Mr. Bryce Pinson. If you love college football, you're definitely in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so that you do not miss one moment of the Hall of Fame College Football podcast. Bryce Pinson, week one college football is here. We have a big one. Guys, we should have been in here about 10 minutes ago. We were in here. It wasn't going live. I'm glad that Bryce caught it, but here we are. Bryce, what do you think, man? What a great week. I love football, don't you? I love college football.
Bro, I thought you would never say that college football was back. I didn't know if it was ever coming back, but here we are. It's back. Let's go. Did y'all see week one? Are you flipping kidding me? Let's go. Come on. Are you freaking kidding?
What an amazing week, huh? So listen, today on our live stream, this is our first live stream, so you're going to have to bear with us a little bit, but we are going to get into just to run down what we're going to do. We're going to talk a lot about just kind of recapping the week. First and foremost, we're going to get into that LSU Florida State game last night that's got a lot of implications today. Obviously, an All-American wide receiver may be leaving the program after that debacle that turned into a 1-point loss for the Tigers. We will also be going through Big 12 goes 9-1 this week in the first week of the season. We're gonna recap games with Ohio State, Notre Dame, obviously the Georgia just destroying Oregon as well. And then we're going to get in and kind of explain Friday. There was a big announcement from college football playoff is going to expand to 12 teams. We'll talk to you about what that means for the Big 12, the Pac-12, and their future coming up after that. Also, we're going to announce our newest segment, the Under the Radar Recruits. And,
I love this one.
And
I'm telling you.
And get into a little bit about our college picks as well, which we didn't do very good on them this week. We had some that were right down to the wire, but we're going to be fine.
I ain't worried about it.
Bryce, man, I know you're excited, bro. I know you're excited.
I'm like trying not to step on your toes. I'm trying not to talk. The under the radar thing, I mean, these kids, they ain't going to be under the radar very long, and we are happy. I think we're first to talk about them probably, and these kids need to be on the radar. These kids, I'm talking like, would it surprise you if this kid we're about to talk about led the country in a statistic, in touchdowns? Would that surprise you?
I don't know that it's going to surprise me so much. I don't know that he leads the state necessarily. But that being said, in 6A football,
I'm not talking about high school. I'm saying if this kid went to somewhere like U of H and all of a sudden, he had 19 touchdowns or 16 touchdowns.
Listen,
would that surprise you?
I'm going to tell you now, he's 6'3", 190, catches
receiver,
everything that comes his way. So, no, it wouldn't surprise me. And I think that U of H ought to be all over him. I think Oklahoma, Texas, Baylor, everybody ought to be all over this kid.
Everyone in Texas, for sure.
And as well as his quarterback. His quarterback has 9 touchdowns, no interceptions to start the season, first 2 games.
Yeah, let's go.
And nobody's looking at him either. So we're going to talk about
Kayshawn is Boutte. Kayshawn is Boutte. Let's talk about him. That is his new name. That's his new name. In this podcast, his name from now on is Kayshawn is Boutte.
Okay. Well, Kayshawn Boutte, the wide receiver, All-American, coming in. He's rumored to be going to be leaving the school. I don't know for sure that that's going to happen, but after last night, apparently there was quite the blow up in the locker room. You saw him kind of blowing up on the sideline during the game. He wasn't getting targeted a lot. The times that he did, though, he was dropping balls.
Dropped a touchdown, dropped a first down.
I mean, obviously, Florida State had this game in hand, but it took literally LSU playing about as bad as it could for the entire first half and dropping touchdowns. They had 2 muffed punts. They had 2 blocked kicks, one for the field goal and one that would have tied the game after time had expired. The extra point got blocked, and they still had every chance in the world to win. And it's exploding in Baton Rouge this morning. We're talking about a kid that may be leaving. He's a first-round grade guy, so I don't see him enter the transfer portal. But this can't be a good look for scouts and going into the draft either, can it?
Oh, no, absolutely. This dude cost him money. Dude, I can't wait to talk about Keyshawn Boutte. He cost himself money. Yeah, he made his money playing college football, but this draft issue, this thing where he's going to enter into the NFL, where it's going to be his profession because he's good enough to play in the NFL.
Oh, absolutely.
He just cost himself a lot of draft picks. Think about that. This guy sits there.
Maybe.
Listen.
I would say maybe to that because of the fact that he's wearing number 7, which is a big deal at LSU. He's coming behind 2 amazing LSU receivers that went early. I'm going to hear you
Randy
out.
Randy Moss was better. Randy Moss was better.
Shoplifting, bro. It's a different thing.
Okay, I don't know if it is. It is. It absolutely is. He broke the law. Whatever. But time out. Listen to me. Hear me out. This dude has been a problem ever since Brian Kelly got here. 1. Number 2, he plays Florida State. If he catches that touchdown pass and he catches that first down before they have to punt, they win the game. So you could point your finger at him if you want to. No one's pointing their finger at him but me, but I'm going to now because he turns around and he points it at the coach.
Right.
What coach wants to coach Keyshawn Boutte in the NFL if every time I drop a pass, I drop a first down, I lose the game for us, I can't take responsibility. I got to turn around and go, oh, it's my coach. You can't take responsibility? I don't want to coach that guy. Get out of here, Keyshawn Boutte. I don't even care if he goes to the NFL. You're trash.
Take that volume down just a shade, bro. You're killing my ears here. I'm sure.
Sorry, he's Boutte.
But listen, guys. Hey, look. Here's the one thing I'll say about that. I agree with you totally on how that is. These kids these days, and obviously, and I also feel like a lot of this goes back to Coach Orgeron. There wasn't a lot of discipline going on around LSU. In fact, he wasn't being very disciplined if you read the stories that you're hearing about what was going on the last couple of years since they won that national title. So he hasn't been told no ever. And I think that Brian Kelly's kind of that no nonsense kind of guy.
Yeah.
I think listen, here's the thing. There's a lot of people that are definitely on the side of Keyshawn Boutte because of the fact that they are not on the side of Brian Kelly. They think this is a terrible hire. They think that he's fake because he had his stupid fake accent at that basketball game, which was stupid.
Listen, let me get in there, dude.
Let me finish.
Okay.
And you can come in. And I'm not even saying that. I'm not the biggest fan of Coach Kelly, but I got to tell you, and I've been saying this, I don't think that this is a bad hire. I think that it may take some time for it to get where it needs to get, but this guy wins everywhere he goes, and he was winning at Notre Dame when nobody has won at Notre Dame. So don't tell me he doesn't work as a coach in college football, because he does. He's been to 2 playoffs. He's played for the national championship. He got smoked. But he was doing that for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
You know?
Imagine if you had LSU players in the national championship.
Exactly.
My prediction, this guy will win a national championship within the next 5 years. He might win 2 if they give him a shot, if they don't fire him. Hey, I don't care that he went and he used a Louisiana accent in Louisiana. Like, that's stupid. Yeah, I get it. But here's the thing. Whenever you're a college football coach, when you're working with kids, period, you're trying to fit in. And maybe he went in trying to fit in with the fans too, and he probably shouldn't have done that. But I don't care. I don't care to drink a beer with this guy. I don't care to hang out with this guy. I don't care if he's nice to the kids. All I care about is winning football games, and he wins football games. And this dude has the talent around him to compete with Nick Saban and compete with Dabo Swinney and compete with the Georgia guy. What's his name?
Kirby Smart.
Kirby Smart. He has the talent to do that. Is he going to do it this year? I mean, he may start. He's a problem already.
Listen, I don't even think that this game means a whole lot. And literally, it took all of those things to happen for them to lose last night.
Yeah.
I mean, Florida State. Everybody's talking great about Florida State today, but listen, it took 2 drop punts and 2 blocked kicks. Their special teams coordinator should have gone out of here tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. If Boutte said, or Boutte says, Keyshawn Boutte, if he turns and says, well, the special team coach should have had him coached up better, no one cares. But you're going to point the finger. You dropped a touchdown pass. You dropped 2 passes. Get out of here.
Listen, and they played about as bad. I told you you weren't even watching the game up to the half, and I was telling you how bad your guy was, that you kept talking about this quarterback. And he was.
And you look at the box score. Yeah.
Well, and he didn't look great. He missed some throws, but literally and Kelly said it after the half. They asked him, he goes, well, I don't think we could play worse than we just did.
Yeah.
And he was right. He was right. I mean, they go 99 yards at the end of the game and they should have tied it. They hit the touchdown with 1 second left. And then freaking the extra point gets blocked. Literally, I mean, if that thing goes to overtime, you got to figure
you never know.
You got to figure they win the game. The momentum was definitely on their side. So, it's a pretty crazy deal. In the end, we'll see what happens with him. There's nothing has come out official as of yet, at least at the time that we started this thing. We're going to find out what happens next. But
let me talk about Jaden Daniels real quick. So Jaden Daniels, he may be trash. Maybe I'm wrong about the kid, but either way,
I think that he showed us on that last drive that he's not trash.
Yeah, he struggled. He struggled the first half, no doubt about it. But I mean, when you look at the box score, he was the whole offense, and what I saw was a lot of drop passes. He had over 100 rushing yards, over 200 passing yards, and you look at everybody else on that team, no one else showed up. And I'm not saying he did necessarily either. But they should have won that game.
Well, none of them really showed. And again, he missed some throws. He didn't miss a ton of throws. He just missed some throws that really could have mattered in that first half and even in that third quarter. I saw him miss a wide open tight end that would have been a 20, 25-yard game probably. He overthrows him by a mile. But again, that's not to say you can't have a tough game starting off your first game with a new program. I get it. New offense, new coach, new everything. And then he was over there trying to get Kayshon Boutte was acting the fool, and during the game there was some problems going on, and he was over there like a quarterback should be as a leader, over there trying to get him back in the game. He fits a couple of balls in there to him to try to get him going. He did catch one. He caught one of the balls on that drive, the 99-yard drive. So. Yeah. As much as I had bad to say about Daniels going into to that last drive, I back off of that. He played just fine. He looks like, and that last throw, that touchdown throw, wow.
Oh, listen, one more thing about Brian Kelly, real quick. One more thing about Brian Kelly, dude. This just a true story. I know we're live. I don't even care. So here, check this out. This is a true story, and I want you to listen to how stupid this sounds and how elevated this gets, okay? So I worked with kids before, all right? I used to be a youth minister in Cincinnati. Every kid, whenever I first showed up, I wasn't the old youth pastor. They all hated me. They didn't want to hang out with me. They didn't like me. They didn't like the way I ran things. They didn't like the way I did things. I wasn't as nice as the other guy. I was I'll call you out if you're doing something wrong. All that stuff. But then the next year comes around and you know what? Everybody loves me and it's all rainbows, lollipops. Did I lose some kids? Absolutely. Some kids never showed back up because of that first week. Imagine elevating that to a college football world. We're not just talking about, youth ministry where you're hanging out with kids and it's just supposed to be fun and inspirational and stuff like that. We're talking about trying to fit a core together and win a championship and win football games with great talent. And that first year, this is going to be rough, especially how it started. Brian Kelly, it's very important that this guy gets through the first year. He's going to have to turn off the media. He's going to have to turn off the noise, and he's going to have to get control of this team. And once he recruits his guys to come into LSU, they're going to be tough for a lot of years.
Look, these guys are going to buy in. It's going to take time for guys to buy in or whatever because, again, I don't know how much discipline there was going on there. And you can say what you want. There's a lot of guys that, a lot of the people on Twitter this morning that were talking about why they would hire this guy to coach Orgeron's kids is beyond them. And I can tend to agree with that, except for the fact if you don't care about who about that fact and you more care about the fact that he's a good coach, that's where you're at. Again, I don't know that many people think that, but I am one of the people that do think. I do think that Coach Kelly can coach.
Yeah, who would you rather have, Kelly or O?
Oh, definitely Coach Kelly. I mean,
yeah,
Coach
that's
Orgeron,
stupid.
Look, man, it can easily be said that he won that national title because of his defensive coordinator, Dave Aranda,
and his offensive
of his offensive coordinator, Joe Brady.
Yep.
Period. and of course the talent on the field. But he didn't have to do much.
That team. He put that together, right?
Didn't he? Did he get those? Of course he did. But he wasn't coaching anything in particular, except for just letting them do their thing. So you can say what you want, and I'm not even hating on Coach O. I've always liked the guy. But what I'm telling you is that obviously there's some things that were going on the last couple of years since then that should not have been happening. So to me, it's something that, look, is it going to take time? Yeah. But guess what? They gave him 10 years and $100 million. So firing him is really not the way. It's not. I mean, you're going to give the guy $100 million to not coach your team? I mean, that's just silly talk. It's just silly talk.
I'm glad they gave him 10 years. I'm glad that he's going to get a shot because he needs one. Anyway, we probably ought to move on. I could talk about this for 30 minutes. Jason.
It's time to move on, man. It's time to move on because we don't even know what's going to happen with it. Obviously, let's talk a little bit about the Big 12. That West Virginia, the backyard brawl game with West Virginia. And listen, I hadn't thought a whole lot of West Virginia. I hate their receivers now. I saw so many stupid drop balls, and they still should have won that game. I don't think Pitt's as good as they should, definitely not as good as they were a year ago. Of course, they lost the best receiver in the country. They lost one of the best quarterbacks in the country, a Heisman finalist. They shouldn't have been. That being said,
teams lost their quarterback.
What a game! Well, and they both brought in USC transfers at some point they were USC guys. Yeah. So whatever. So anyway, West Virginia had this game. They're driving again. JT Daniels throws the ball. I mean, it couldn't have been a better throw. The kid gets it in his hands, and it goes over his head and gets returned. But what was it? Oh, I'm going to get that kid's name. I had it written down here too. So MJ Devonshire returns it 52 yards for a touchdown, puts them ahead. It ends up being the difference in the game. Now, they go down there, and he throws a 40-yard dart on fourth down with 20 seconds left or so. And it looked like a touchdown. They called it a touchdown. Turns out he didn't catch the ball. Ball game. What a game, though. This is the only loss of the weekend. Sorry. This is the only loss of the weekend for the Big 12, although the rest of them pretty much played cupcakes. But I got to say, it was a pretty good showing for the Big 12 all the way around. Even Kansas. Listen.
All the way around.
Even Kansas.
We'll get to Oklahoma State. But anyway, not all the way around.
Okay, yeah, well, not all the way around. Now, I will say about that, Spencer Sanders was named Offensive Player of the Week because of that game. They definitely didn't have the Defensive Player of the Week, I can tell you that, because they gave up 44 to Central Michigan. So all this garbage about they probably got the next best defensive coordinator in the country, no, they didn't. No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
Stop Central Michigan. What's going to happen when you play Michigan?
And they didn't lose their defensive line, which was the biggest thing about that defense a year ago. They didn't lose it. They have that defensive line. They did not listen, man. 44 points to Central Michigan. What are you going to do when you get Oklahoma and their guys? What are you going to do when you got to deal with Deuce Vaughn and guys like, and even Bijan Robinson and guys like that? I mean, I gotta tell you, man.
Hey, let me jump back.
I don't see
Virginia.
it.
I screwed up because you said all the way around it was a good showing, and I want to touch on that game too, man. West Virginia won that game. They had the game. They lost the game. They almost won the game again. My biggest take from that, Jason, is why haven't they been playing this game every single year? Why did they have to rekindle this rivalry? That's a disaster. That's a mistake.
This coaching staff is not. I mean, this new coach, and he's a new guy. I think this is his second season, and they're not. From what I can tell from the Golden Blue dude doesn't like him. Doesn't like him, and so. I mean, he did bring in JT Daniels, got him from Georgia.
Yeah, but that's not my question. My question is, didn't they rekindle this rivalry? This is like the first year.
Yeah, first time in 11 years. They hadn't played in 11 years. What the
flip? Why are we not having rivalry games? Why'd they stop playing? This game was incredible, and they have robbed us for 11 years of watching that.
Well, and I got to tell you, man, with this entirety, here's the other thing about that. You want to talk about that? We're talking about conference expansion here in a few minutes, and we'll get into that part of it too. There's some things that are with all these moving around in conferences and stuff like that. look, we lost the Nebraska-Oklahoma series for a long time. They've played the last couple of years. They're going to play again this year. But I don't know how much some of these – look at A&M and Texas haven't played since A&M left for the SEC. They will be again, obviously, now that that Texas is coming back into the SEC. That's another thing we need to talk about as well. But, again, listen, this is one of the things of this entire reorganization, realignment, all this other conference stuff that's going on. USC and UCLA moving into the Big Ten, they're going to preserve maybe some of their rivalries, maybe not. Because as of now, with this CFP expansion, it doesn't look like anybody needs to really expand anymore right now. Yeah. It just doesn't. So we're not sure what's going to happen there. I wouldn't say it's not going to happen, but that stands to lose the entire Pac-12 thing for SC, that everybody is SC's rival in the Pac-12. Everybody.
Yeah.
The only one they're going to have really left is UCLA, maybe Notre Dame. If Notre Dame doesn't go Big Ten now, which they may not have to. They may not have to now. So we're going to see. I think there still are. But you don't know. You just don't know what's going to happen. In any event, moving on, big week 4. Obviously, Brent Venables, his first game as head coach of the Oklahoma Sooners. They roll over UTEP. UTEP was game at times, but it was kind of good to see as an Oklahoma fan. It was great to see that they didn't really lose anything offensively, and defensively they looked a ton better, even though they weren't getting a ton of push up front. That's from not having those big guys. But they gave up 13 points. I don't remember the last time they only gave up 13 points. I just don't. So, good start for them. Obviously, Texas started off the way they would have wanted to. Quinn Ewers, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw a pick. But, they blow out Louisiana Monroe. Of course, they have to get ready for Alabama this week. Ouch.
The big game, man, the game that I paid most attention to that I thought was a big game was that TCU Colorado. Colorado was beating them for most of the game. Not beating them. They were up 3-0, which I guess is beating them. Second quarter, it's 6-7. So that's not a big deal. TCU's up. But one thing I took from that game, man, that I couldn't believe is there's this kid named JT Shrout. Everyone needs to remember his name. He's a quarterback for Colorado. He has a massive arm. The reason he doesn't start for Colorado, everyone in their mom saying like, hey, why isn't he starting? If he starts that game, they win the game. That's what the commentary was. That's what people are saying. If this guy starts for Colorado, they win that game.
What's the problem?
I'm telling you the problem. He's so confident, Jason. He thinks he can fit that football through.
Is he Brett Favre? Is he doing the Brett Favre thing?
A paper towel tube. You know what I'm saying? He believes he can fit that football through because he has a gun. Okay. A freaking gun. And man, he tries to fit it in these tight windows, and he threw some picks, but he has so much confidence in himself. He turns the ball over. If they start him, I don't care if he turns the ball over. If you ain't throwing interceptions, you ain't trying. And so I think if they started this kid, this game's closer. I still don't think they would win, but that game is close if he starts that football game. But it was an amazing football game that was really close. Colorado's defense held a really good offensive TCU team in check for most of that game. And then at the end, it got a little out of hand, and that's when they brought in Shrout. I need to remember his name myself. But that's when they brought him in, and that's whenever people were like, whoa, where's this kid been?
Right. Well, I think the other big, obviously all these other ones were expected wins other than maybe, and I even probably this one, but Kansas, Vegas had them winning one game. That was their over under. So they already got their one. They went 56-10 over Tennessee Tech. Look, that doesn't mean that they're going to win the Big 12. It doesn't mean they're going to really compete.
But they'll get the 2 wins because they'll beat Texas. They'll beat Texas, so they'll get that second win.
I didn't even say that, UT fans. It wasn't even coming from me. So just so you know, the guy wearing the hat did it. But anyway, we're going to do that anyway. So look, obviously that's a big win. It's big for them to just get that win to start off. I don't know, that the quarterback they had coming in is better than the guy they had a year ago. I feel like that's a solid team. Baylor obviously beating up on Albany. You would expect that. Iowa State, Southeast Missouri, they're good. They blew them out. You expect that as well. Kansas State, though, South Dakota. South Dakota is one of them teams that has been pretty good. K-State beats them 34-0. Texas Tech blows out Murray State. Murray State's one of those Division I AA powers. So, 63-10, but it's still a 1AA team. So either way, we're going to figure it out. I think that obviously, you got to be happy if you're a Longhorn fan because of the fact of you saw Quinn Ewers in action, first time since he played in high school and won a state championship. He looked pretty good. Did have an interception, but I don't know that that equates to anything coming up this week because they got to play number 1 Alabama, even though it's at home. I do not expect them to cover. I don't care what the number is. I just don't. So we'll see that. And here's the thing: if you expect them to just lose, which you should, what do? Can they rebound from it? That's the question. It's not about whether they can beat Alabama because we all know they're not going to beat Bama, but can they turn it around after that and not let that be what kills their season? Because after the Oklahoma game last year, they had one loss going in. They didn't win again for a month and a half. So, yep. I mean, what are they going to do when they have to deal with adversity, which is coming Saturday? Period. It's coming. So we'll figure that out. Obviously, hey, listen, there's a lot more to talk about, in the Big 12. I think overall it's a good week. Unless you're Oklahoma State, I don't know how you're really excited about what you did. I just don't know how you can be. Because I got to say, when you give up 44 points to Central Michigan, and they're still on Twitter this morning, you see a bunch of these guys out there talking trash about Oklahoma instead of about their own team. Okay. Okay. Little brother, man. It's so weird. All right. So we're going to get into, obviously, this Ohio State game. Look, I don't know how much you watched of that game. I got most of it. I got to tell you, my thing is this. We talked about this coming in. They should have beaten the brakes off of Notre Dame. Now, I think that Marcus Freeman showed that he's a heck of a coach. Okay. Yeah. Because he brought a team that lost its quarterback, lost its top receivers, top running back, and the best safety in the country. And they only lost by 11 to a team that should have blown them out of the damn stadium. Period. Yeah. At home. My thing is this. At what point are we going to stop calling Ryan Day a premier coach? Because I don't see it, man. I just do not see it. He lost to Oregon at home last year. He didn't. He's the first coach in 12 years to lose to Michigan. At what point are we going to stop calling this dude a top level coach? Because
I'm not ready yet, Jason. And here's why, man. I did. I paid attention to the whole game there, and here's why I'm not ready to do it yet. And I told you last week when we were doing picks, dude, offenses take a couple weeks to get going. And sometimes it's 1 week.
Bro, week one, the same offense he had a year ago.
That's fine. Not completely, because a lot of those receivers are in the NFL. So not completely.
Wait a minute. No,
Chris Olave's in the NFL.
But they have
one then fine.
They still have the best receiving room in the country, and two of them are still there.
Hey, and they beat Notre Dame. Yes, they didn't cover the spread. They beat Notre Dame like they should have beat Notre Dame. Give them 1 more week. I'm not saying he isn't what you're saying he is. All I'm saying is I'm not ready to do it after week 1. I need to see a little bit more because they are, on paper, these guys are good. They started off really slow in that game, but they got going at the end. If you give them, another 5 minutes, they cover the spread.
Every time I see him in a big game, including the playoff a few years ago, I mean, I know that Justin played his ass off. Justin Fields played his ass off in that game, and it didn't seem like he got a lot of help from the sideline there. Yeah. Just me. I didn't feel like that was well called game by Ryan Day at all. It just seems like he's coming up a bit lame in some of these monster games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just not showing up to the party like you would expect a top-level coach at a top-level program that recruits at the top every freaking year. And you've got the Heisman favorite at quarterback, you know.
Yep.
He could have won it last year, you know. So
just 1 week, though, man, week 1, your offense is behind your defense.
Okay, well, unless you're Georgia, which is the next game we were going to talk about.
Time out, though. Georgia coming off. We talked about the motivation in that game. They're walking in saying, we're the champs. They're
same
confident and they're crushing.
Same quarterback, same pretty much everything. And this guy comes out, Stetson Bennett comes out and shows out and blows out a top 10 team or top 15 team, number 11, Oregon. That was my brakes off of them.
Jason, that was my number 1 game. I was more excited about that game than ever because when you win a national championship and then you lose a bunch of guys and you got that G on your helmet, you got a lot to prove.
They didn't give up nothing. They didn't lose anything.
Jason, they broke records for how many people they put in the NFL. They broke records.
And look, man, what they did as a team defensively.
Oh, I see. You're saying they didn't lose. I got you.
They didn't lose, but they didn't really lose anything because they gave up 3 points to a freaking top 15 team.
Because they're still Georgia.
They're still
Alabama and Georgia. They can lose the whole team.
They are reloading at this point, just like they do in Tuscaloosa. They're reloading. So look, bottom line is this. I get it. First game with your new team, Dan Lanning, and having to deal with your old team, you had to know that was tough on him. But do they fall out of the top 25 now? Because that was ugly. 49-3.
Yeah.
Maybe you fall out of the top 25 there. I don't know. We're gonna.
I don't know if you should. Probably should. They probably should fall out of the top 25. Do they deserve it? I don't know because I think Georgia would have beat everybody but Alabama like that. I'm talking.
They might have beaten Alabama. They might have beaten.
They would have beat. I think they would have beat Alabama. They just wouldn't have beat them 49-3 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? They'd have beat everybody else in the top 25, probably 49-3. They were going to show up for that game, and they were going to show out. Hey, I'll tell you one thing right now, though, Jason. One underrated thing. I'll tell you who the biggest winner is of Saturday. If you were an ACC fan, you watched incredible football. Incredible. You got to watch.
That went down to the freaking wire, man.
You got Florida State, LSU. You got Pittsburgh, West Virginia.
Yeah.
You got Duke
North Carolina
showing out against Temple. Yes, North Carolina, Appalachian State. You got NC State, East Carolina.
Oh, man.
You got Rutgers.
I felt so bad for ECU on that deal.
You got Rutgers and Boston College. Rutgers beating Boston College. By
Rutgers
1
beating
point.
Anybody is big.
You got Syracuse blowing out Louisville. Like you had
that was crazy. Hey, Corso called it right. Corso called it right.
Man.
Hey, listen. Look, and tonight you got it there. Hey, Georgia Tech and Clemson finish it off tonight. So we're gonna have another big ACC game tonight. It's at Georgia Tech. This ought to be a good. Or no, it's in Atlanta, so it's basically at Georgia Tech. It's also.
Are you calling the upset?
No.
Okay, I didn't know. I just wanted to see if I could just say something stupid.
Here's what I'm going to call. If DJ Uiagalelei does not show out in this game and blow out Georgia Tech, you may not see him behind center next week. I think that the leash on this kid is short. I think that as much as Dabo wouldn't say it weeks ago, he's talking about he's backing off of that. No, he's our starter. He's our starter for now. So we're going to find out we're going to find out because apparently this kid behind him is the real deal, and they know about the real deal at Clemson when it comes to quarterbacks. Let's just be real.
I forgot there was football tonight. I was like looking at thinking, what am I?
Can it get better? All right, we got to move on though. Let's go on to this next deal. Look, so on Friday, which was kind of crazy that it came out on Friday to kind of upstage the weekend. But it didn't, thankfully. But the news dropped 4:30 p.m. Friday, our time, which is later in the evening on the East Coast. But the College Football Playoff Board approved a 12-team expansion for the playoff. This coming after January, there was the vote between the commissioners of the conferences where you had Kliavkoff from the Pac-12, the ACC commissioner, and Kevin Warren from the Big Ten, all voted against it. It had to be unanimous for it to go. All the conference presidents have reversed that from these commissioners, and now it looks like as early as 2024, you're going to have a 12-team playoff. Could be 2025 or 2026. We're going to find out what happens this week. They're having a big meeting in Dallas on Thursday. But the changes could take effect, and we're talking about, in this landslide of money, the deal could be as much from anywhere from double what it is now, which is $660 million a year. It's going to at least go to 1.2. I've heard numbers as high as like 3.5 from different places. $3.5 billion per season for the playoffs. There's no way they weren't going to do it. It's ridiculous to even think that look at what happened. The Pac-12 almost, it was its demise to not do that. And they did it thanks to the Big Ten. And then the Big Ten goes and pilfers their two teams. And then you got the ACC voted against it. And of course the Big Ten did. And what did they do it for? It was all to punish the SEC for getting Oklahoma and Texas. And then the Big Ten turns around and pulls that with USC and UCLA. So go figure. Thankfully, smarter heads have prevailed. The university presidents have decided that, hey, you know what? We're actually the ones in charge here. We are going to do it. And it looks like, I know that and look, here's the deal. And the question is this. It's not about whether it's going to happen because we know it's going to happen. The 6 highest ranked conference champions are automatically in the playoff now, which is a good thing. I think that that's a good thing. 6 highest rated conference champions. So that means that the Big 12 and the Pac-12 should be among that. Okay. Yep. Now, and then you get 6 at-large teams.
Which is great.
The 4 highest ranked teams get buys in the first round. And yeah, listen, it's going to help the SEC and the Big Ten because of the fact that you're going to have teams that are, and this could also hurt college football as well. Here's why. Stick with me for a second. What it's going to help with is this. Some of these teams that wouldn't never get a chance. All right, listen, Bryce, do you think it changes who wins it? Do you think it changes who wins the national title?
No.
Okay. So it doesn't really, is that a help to college football?
Not really. Know what? Whenever I get to talk, I'll tell you what we can do to make it to where it can.
And look, I'm going to tell you the other thing. But here's the thing. A year ago, Alabama needed to win that conference championship game to get in. If they didn't beat Georgia in that conference title game, they're not in the playoff. Now, you could have that loss to A&M, lose that conference championship game, and Alabama's still going to get in. It's not going to matter. So that game matters less now, the SEC game. It's going to matter less now, right? The Big 12, same thing. That game between Michigan and Ohio State was the difference on who was going to get into the championship game and who wasn't, which it got one team in and the other team out. Okay. Ohio State would have, if it was an expanded playoff, you think they weren't going to put Ohio State in the playoff last year, whether they won that game or not? So is that good for college football? Maybe, maybe not. I don't think that it changes who wins it. The other thing that I would say is, all right, where it would help, though, is that you're going to have some teams from possibly, the Big 12 winner and runner-up could go in or in certain seasons. And because I think that the Big 12 overall is going to be much more competitive whenever these new teams come in, these 4 new teams start next season, than what it was prior to that. Now, is it better with Texas and Oklahoma gone? No. But is it more competitive of a league? Sure. I think that there's some teams in that. Look, you said yourself, look at what Cincinnati did at Arkansas this week. What a great game there. That was a great game.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
We haven't even talked about that game. But Cincinnati loses that. They're out of the picture. They're out of the picture this year. There's no way they get in the playoff now. There's absolutely no way. That's it.
Because they're a good football team.
They're a good football team. In a couple of years, whenever this comes into play, they could still have an opportunity. Exactly. That doesn't torpedo their season and say that they're out of it, and especially in view of the fact that they'll be a Big 12 team. But the other big thing that I think that this helps with, obviously, is now the Big 12 or the Pac-12, they don't have to merge, and they don't have to just pull some teams in that they don't want to stay alive because they're thinking that SEC and the Big Ten are about to pilfer the rest of their good ones. Now, I wouldn't, if I'm the Pac-12, I don't screw around and I figure out a way. And it could help their TV money also when they renegotiate these deals too, which we'll see. It looks like Oklahoma and Texas are indeed, as we said, probably gone next year. The Big 12 started talking with ESPN this past week, which means that, and they're apparently negotiating a buyout that is going to be good for both sides. I don't know how that works. I think that overall, the Big 12 is kind of looking forward to not dealing with, because a lot of the coaches are sick of it. They don't want Oklahoma and Texas around after what happened. Whatever. Gundy was one of the main ones that was, I don't think they should be in meetings. I don't think they should be knowing anything that's going on. I don't want them here. I think that the rest of the Big 12 would just be happy to see OU and Texas go.
Are you done?
I'm done. Go. What do you want to say?
Oh, my gosh.
We may have Christmas weekend. That's the other good thing about it.
Listen here. Listen. This is one thing I have a problem with the NCAA about. Like the MLB and the NCAA feel like the same to me. They're so flipping slow, bro, that they can't keep up. College football is great because college football is great, not because the NCAA is great, because the NCAA is a flipping joke. It's an absolute joke.
Listen for me, brother.
Listen,
none here.
We have 131 teams, and 4 of them go to the playoffs. I'm sorry, let me move my mic back. I got a lot to say. 131 teams, Jason. Are you flipping kidding me? And we have 4 playoff teams. What world? What sporting event? What thing on the planet other than the MLB do we be like, well, the regular season games are so important that we can't screw up? No, that's bullcrap. And the SEC championship game, that doesn't matter to you, even if
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it doesn't change anything.
I know what you said. You made your point very clear. It doesn't change anything for the national championship. But if Georgia beats Alabama and loses in the national championship, they still get to say, I am the SEC champion, even though Alabama won the national championship. They couldn't beat us.
Alabama wouldn't have been in the playoff if they win that game, is the point.
That's fine. I get it. Anyways, moving on. 12 teams ain't enough.
Oh, I agree. It's not going to stay at 12. It's not.
We need 30 minimum.
Well,
this thing and don't give me this bullcrap if everyone will get injured. Texas high school football has been doing this for years. It's about money.
Look, of course it's about money. Look, first of all, it's not even the NCAA that's it. You can say what you want about the NCAA, but the freaking networks are the ones that run this shit.
I don't know who it is. Whoever it is, okay. Whoever it is has too much power, and give the people what they want. Give the people what they want, and you'll get more money. The only thing
I was saying, just listen to what I'm trying to tell you. The only thing that I was saying was that, you weren't quiet. Believe me. The mic picked you up. The mic picked you up fine. Shit. So look, bottom line is this. Bottom line is simple. To me, all I can tell you is that this doesn't really change anything. It doesn't change the balance of power. It doesn't mean that you're going to have a different champion every year. In fact, if anything, it probably only ensures that the blue bloods are going to stay the blue bloods and the others are going to stay the others. And that's the bottom line, because now that you've got 6 at-larges, you're going to have 2 lost teams are going to get into this playoff every year. And they're going to be coming from the Big Ten and the SEC. Obviously,
some of them deserve to be there.
Absolutely.
And it's okay.
Saying that.
I know you're not. I know you're not. Look, I know you're not. I'm jumping.
You can't tell me that doesn't diminish what that game a year ago meant. That Michigan Ohio State game doesn't mean as much a year from now, or 2 years from now, if they have a 12-team playoff. That game doesn't mean as much. Neither does the SEC championship game. If 2 years from now, because it wouldn't matter, Bama's still going to go in. whether they win
Okay,
the
so
freaking SEC or not.
what you're telling me is, in college football, 64 teams go. The ACC championship between Duke and North Carolina doesn't matter.
I didn't say that. What I said is it doesn't matter in terms of
as much.
It doesn't
matter as much. It shouldn't. We should get to where it matters as much as it needs to matter. Who wins the conference title? That's fine. Now let's put a bunch of people in the playoffs and see who wins the national title. It should be two different things. ACC championships are important.
Bro, this isn't basketball, and you can't act like it is.
But it's the same thing. What are you talking about? It ain't basketball. We're talking about SEC
NCAA basketball tournament, bro. It's just not. That's what I'm saying.
It needs to be close to.
It's all about money. Let's call it what it is. It's all about money.
It needs to be.
Okay. All right. Well, either way, I'm not even saying that I'm against the thing. I don't have a problem with them expanding it. I feel like they should expand it. I just feel like I don't necessarily like that all of these 6 of them are going to be at-large teams. Now, one thing, Notre Dame, unless they join a conference, which is one reason why Notre Dame may still go to the Big Ten, as we've been saying they would, unless they join a conference, they can never have a bye going into this thing, no matter if they're undefeated, number 1 in the country. They'll never have a bye in the first round. Never. That's part of was part of the deal that was worked out, in exchange for them getting, into the so this could be the reason that they don't join a conference. But it could be a reason that they have to, because if you really think as much of Marcus Freeman, they can be number 1, then you're going to want a chance to get a bye. Anyway, moving forward, guys. Obviously, we talked a lot about the Big 12. We've talked a lot about the SEC. Well, one of the things that we want to talk about, obviously, is our new segment that's coming out on Thursday. We're going to be calling
Thursday? I thought we were talking about that today. I'm so pumped.
We're talking about it today. We're talking about it today, but we're going to actually have interviews with these guys. I'm doing an interview tonight with these guys that we're going to air on Thursday. We're going to be featuring this week a guy, and actually this is a good friend of mine's son. He has shown up huge the last couple of weeks. How many
4 touchdowns?
Last Friday night, 4 touchdowns. San Antonio
as a receiver. Not a quarterback.
4 touchdowns. He has 5 overall. He has 5 overall on the season, 2 games, 6A competition in San Antonio. The kid didn't even get to play last year. He was on the team, never played. I don't understand that. I don't know. And therefore is not really ranked. He's not even on the 247 rankings at all. They don't even have his name in there. They have him in Rivals, but they don't have him ranked. There's no star rating. There's no nothing on him. And the same goes for his quarterback. We're talking about Darian Holmes from San Antonio Warren and his quarterback, who is, I don't want to get his name wrong, so I'm not going to say it until I have it perfect. Antonio Mesa. These guys are from San Antonio Warren. They're 2-0 on the season. They had to make a big comeback in week 1 against Laredo United. They were down 21-7. They ended up winning 35-28. He had a big touchdown in that one and 9 catches, Darian Holmes. And then Meza on the year has 9 touchdown passes, no interceptions, and over 600 passing yards in 2 games. I mean, and neither one of them – now, Mesa is a junior, so he's got some time, but neither one of them are ranked or looked at whatsoever, period. And this is our segment. We're going to call it, under the radar recruits. And we want to make sure that we get them on the radar screen of these college football teams. These are both Division I prospects. 6 foot. Look, Darian is 6'3", 190 pounds. Doesn't drop anything.
Has the incredible hands.
And he runs. He can run people too.
He's fast too.
Listen, he'll run right over.
What does he run, dude?
I don't even know.
Some of those videos, he's pretty fast.
It's a 4.6, 4.5 maybe.
I don't care.
It doesn't even matter.
Football pad speed. He's fast.
The guy can play, man. He's definitely worth a look by a lot of these. He's not only that, great family, great kid, great grades. It's weird to me that he falls through the cracks. I don't feel like it's right for a lot of these kids to continue to fall through the cracks. We want you, as our viewers, our fans, to come out and watch these guys, take a look at them.
Let's be
let us
vacuum
know
cleaners.
about more of these guys that are out there that aren't getting looked at, that aren't high rated, or maybe they're not rated at all, just like these two aren't, all over the country. We want to know who they are, and we want to interview them too, because we want to expose them to these college coaches because they deserve to play. Look, man,
You know what?
I
We
know
need to call
that
this.
Darian dominated 7-on-7 all summer. I know that
Yep.
he's worked his butt off with personal coaches and trainers and everything to get his shot. He didn't complain about not getting to play. He just went and worked. And that's what you want out of these kids. Whenever, going to tell me a guy like Brent Venables doesn't want a guy that is willing to work, not complain, work. That's who I would want. I don't know.
I want to call this segment the vacuum cleaners. Us as fans, us as the hosts and stuff. I want even the people who are watching this segment who are telling us who to talk about. Let's call it the vacuum cleaner. Everyone who falls through the cracks gets sucked right back up, and we put them right where they belong.
I want to know who these kids are. Let us know. I don't care what state you're in, what team this is. If this is a legitimate guy that should be playing, and folks, I'm just going to tell you, it's got to be legitimate, or you're not going to get us. Look, these are we're talking about guys that can play at the next level, Division I level, guaranteed. Darian's dad played Division II football, and he's bigger than his dad was. He's got great hands, just like his dad had. And had his dad played for longer than just 2 years in high school, he never played football before that. He's probably a D1 player too, So look, this is a kid that should get an opportunity. I don't want to hear about your 6-man guy that's 5'4", and I don't want to hear that stuff, guys.
Hey, I'm jumping in here. We got some comments here. You blue chipping these kids. Hell yeah. Love it. I like her comment from earlier. Tanya Harvey says the NCAA monetizing the game is ruining it for the tradition. These big rivalries are what make college football the shit. Hey,
she's right.
Absolutely right.
That's where I'm worried about. I was saying this earlier. We were concerned about that before. There's you asked about the backyard brawl. Right now, Bedlam may not happen anymore, at least for a while, unless they work out some kind of a deal with the TV networks.
It's a travesty they don't play every year.
They need to play every year, and it looks like it's not going to happen. Now, do I think that Oklahoma State cares? Probably not. Should it still happen? Absolutely. You need that game. You need that game. Just like you still need to have Nebraska, Oklahoma. You still need better start. Look, Texas and Texas A&M needs to happen every year. Period.
Jason, are we going to have highlights for these kids on that new segment?
Absolutely.
Want highlights, man. I need kids to see it. I want people to see these kids. Let's go.
Yeah, I've
been watching these.
I'll be interviewing them tonight. They're coming on after practice tonight. They're coming on after practice tonight. Good deal. So anyway, okay, the last segment we got to talk about our front seven. We didn't do so good on our front seven last week. Was to go 60% on the season. We fell below that. The season we want to go 60%. This week we fell below that.
Yes.
Thank you, LSU. Thank you, Utah.
I think we're going to go back to that LSU well, though, real soon since they played so bad. I'm going back to the well. I'm going back to the well.
I don't know that I am. So
they dropped 2 punts. They dropped 2.
In any event, what you want to look at is, guys, obviously we'll have that one coming out on Thursday as well. We'll give you our best 7 picks. And you know what? You can think that we're not there if you want to. I know that I've picked 60% for a long time, so I'm not too worried about this. I'm not too worried about this at all. But make sure that you are
nominations from any state, Tanya. Send them.
Let them know. We want to know. And yep. Thanks again. Yes, nominations from any state. Thank you, Tanya, for getting on there and talking with us. And we hope that everybody gets in these comments. Hey, like, subscribe. Let everybody share us with your friends. We are ready to, we're ready to share all this content with everybody. We're having a great time with it, getting a lot of views. It's time to crank it up a little bit. The season is here. We're excited about it. Hope you are too. We'll see you on the next one.